existing enclosures that they reused a lot of existing pieces. So not everything was produced newly, but a very strong reuse of.
On his deathbed, renowned archaeologist Klaus Schmidt made a stunning revelation about the mysterious origins of the Sphinx, sending shockwaves through the academic community. But what was the forbidden truth revealed by Schmidt? And how will his shocking disclosure change the way we view the Sphinx and its mysterious history? Join us to explore the details. The silent guardian of the sands. The silent Great Sphinx of Giza sits atop the sandy plateau, its mysterious gaze fixed on the vast expanse of desert, hinting at mysteries beyond our grasp. Over countless centuries, observers have pondered the origins and purpose of this colossal structure, seeking to unlock the hidden narratives it may hold. The allure of its mystery has transformed into a captivating allure, attracting curious explorers, studious academics, and imaginative thinkers from all corners of the globe. The original name given to the Sphinx by the builders of the Old Kingdom has been forgotten over time. The temple and enclosure that were meant to accompany it remained unfinished, leaving behind only hints of their intended purpose. As a result, the cultural significance of the Sphinx at the time of its creation remains a mystery. In the New Kingdom era, the Sphinx was revered by people who saw it as more than just a sculpture. They viewed it as a deity known as Horimaket, or Horus of the horizon. To them, it symbolized the sun god and served as a sacred protector, watching over both the heavens and the earth. During the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose IV in the 14th century BC, the Sphinx was honored in his famous dream stele. In this inscription, Thutmose IV recounted a dream where the Sphinx spoke to him and promised him kingship if he could free it from the sand that covered its body. Archaeologists have theorized that the Sphinx was constructed sometime between 2600 and 2500 BC. There are conflicting opinions about its purpose, with some suggesting it was built for King Khufu, the Great Pyramid's creator, and others claiming it was meant for his son Khafra, who built the second pyramid at Giza. Unlike other structures in the area, the Sphinx was not assembled from individual blocks. Instead, it was sculpted directly from the bedrock of the plateau. This same bedrock supplied the stones used in the construction of the nearby pyramids and temples. Farouk El-Baz, a geologist, proposed the idea that the Sphinx's head could have initially been carved from a natural formation of stone weathered by the wind in the desert. Workers may have then carved out the body by digging deeper into the rock, which resulted in the creation of the ditch around it. The stones that were taken out during this process were utilized in constructing a temple in front of the statue. However, this temple, like many other projects, was left unfinished. This could be the reason why, during that time, the Sphinx did not have a well-established cult or devoted followers in the Old Kingdom. In 1949, Salim Hassan, an archaeologist, meticulously analyzed the Sphinx and its environment. He proposed that Khafra was probably responsible for its construction, although he acknowledged that there was no definitive proof linking the Sphinx to the king. No ancient inscriptions referenced Khafra and the Sphinx in conjunction. Consequently, the association is merely speculative. The mystery persists, awaiting a fortuitous revelation to validate the reality. The meticulous design of the temples and causeways surrounding the Sphinx indicates the thoughtful preparation of the ancient architects. The Khafra burial site and the Valley Temple were established prior to the creation of the Sphinx. Through the walls and arrangement of the area, this demonstrates that the Sphinx was constructed following the completion of certain other structures, integrating itself into Giza's holiest landscape. The Old Kingdom began to lose its greatness over time. The arrival of the first intermediate period led to the desertion of the majestic necropolis of Giza. Left unattended, the Sphinx was gradually covered in sand up to its shoulders. Throughout the centuries, 00 to 010, it remained concealed, with only its head visible above the sandy hills. Around 1400 BC, the young Thutmose IV finally reached the Sphinx. He formed a group to remove the sand covering its massive paws. In the space between them, he erected a shrine and installed the dream stele, documenting his mystical experience. Despite the weathered stone and fading lines, the inscription narrated a tale of a deity seeking assistance and offering blessings in exchange. This narrative revitalized the Sphinx, turning it into a representation of heavenly support and monarchical fate. Centuries later, when early Egyptologists and explorers examined the area, they engaged in heated debates regarding the actual age of the Sphinx. In 1857, Auguste Mariette, the creator of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, came across the inventory stela, which suggested that Khufu had discovered the Sphinx already buried in sand, hinting at a greater antiquity. However, archaeological findings challenged this notion. The stela, belonging to the later 26th dynasty, was likely crafted by priests aiming to fabricate a historical link between their temple and ancient times, distorting the true narrative to elevate their own era. Several other academics found it challenging to put an end to the argument. In 1887, Flinders Petrie observed that a lot of individuals thought that the granite temple nearby was more ancient than the 4th dynasty. However, evidence indicated that it was actually constructed during Khafre's rule. He strongly linked the Sphinx to the 4th dynasty, even though the specifics were still uncertain. The Sphinx remains quiet, with the elements of the desert shaping its features and the passage of time leaving a lasting impression. With its rich history, the world was eager to explore it, and some illegally went digging. Stay with us. The secrets of illegal excavations. For thousands of years, the Great Sphinx of Giza has been a symbol of mystery and quiet. Yet it has faced significant damage from the passage of time and human actions. The Sphinx's body, crafted from nummulitic limestone, not only narrates its creation, but also the harm it has endured. The limestone composition in the region is not consistent, with some layers being sturdy and durable, while others are softer and susceptible to erosion. This variance explains why the lower section of the Sphinx, including its robust legs, remains intact and steady, while the middle part of its body has deteriorated more rapidly. The head, made from tougher limestone, has weathered the test of time better compared to the fragile body. The signs of wear and tear on the Sphinx cannot be solely attributed to natural erosion. A large portion of the damage was actually inflicted by humans, individuals seeking treasure, looters of tombs, and those in search of riches, speculated that the Sphinx held valuable secrets hidden within secret chambers brimming with gold and concealed pathways leading to the pharaoh's treasures. Driven by their greed, they excavated shafts and tunnels both inside and beneath the structure. Unfortunately, these passages led nowhere and concluded in utter silence. However, the harm they caused was irrevocable. Every strike of a chisel weakened the stone, and each empty space carved in secrecy gradually eroded the statue's essence. The Sphinx is known for its iconic missing nose, a famous wound that has sparked countless rumors throughout history. One of the most popular stories suggests that Napoleon Bonaparte's soldiers were responsible for its disappearance, claiming they used the Sphinx for shooting practice and destroyed its nose with cannonballs. This narrative has been retold so frequently that it has taken on legendary status, but it lacks credibility according to available evidence. Long before Napoleon's presence in Egypt, Danish explorer Frederick Louis Norden sketched the Sphinx in 1737. His drawings indicated that the nose was missing, suggesting that the statue had been damaged many years prior. Detailed examination of the Sphinx's face uncovers evidence of deliberate tampering, with visible marks where tools were used to remove the nose. It is apparent that the nose was removed through forceful means, rather than being blasted away by cannons. This raises the question, who was responsible for this act of vandalism, and what was their motive? In the 10th century, certain Arab writers proposed that the nose of the Sphinx was destroyed by individuals who were against the concept of statues, engaging in acts of iconoclasm to eliminate what they viewed as idolatry. Subsequent claims implicated the Mamluks of the 14th century. However, the most popular version of the story originates from the 15th century historian al-Makrizi. According to his account, in 1378, a Sufi Muslim named Muhammad Sa'im al-Dahar vandalized the Sphinx. Witnessing peasants making offerings at the statue in hopes of a prosperous harvest, he considered it a form of worship prohibited by his beliefs. Enraged, he attacked the Sphinx, removing its nose as a form of retribution. In the eyes of the locals, the desert was thought to have risen up in anger as a reaction to the act of destruction. They believed that the burying of the plateau under the sands was a form of divine punishment for the harm that was inflicted. Some even linked the troubles of the Alexandrian Crusade to the wrath brought about by this violation. Regardless of the truth of these accounts, they highlight the significant place the Sphinx held in the collective imagination of the community. To harm it was to disrupt something that was considered sacred. However, it was not just the nose that had a different appearance in the past. There are indications that the Sphinx might have had a pharaonic beard as well. Researchers have uncovered pieces of a beard close to the statue, indicating that it was attached later on. Had the beard been part of the original design, it would have likely caused damage to the chin when it detached. Therefore, it is believed that the beard was added at a later time, possibly to enhance the regal appearance of the Sphinx. Hints of paint can still be seen on the Sphinx, with small bits of red on the face and patches of yellow and blue on various areas of the body. These remnants indicate that the Sphinx was likely painted in vibrant colors in the past. Instead of the dull, aged stone we now observe, envision it adorned in striking, almost mesmerizing hues. It would have been a striking contrast against the desert backdrop, symbolizing vitality and strength. As time passed, the elements and human touch wore away these colors, leaving behind only faint traces of its original colorful and majestic appearance. The marks on the Sphinx, whether caused by natural elements, human greed, or judgments, serve as evidence of its enduring presence throughout time. Unlawful digging inflicted lasting damage. The absence of its nose evolved into a mysterious symbol intertwined with tales of conflict, faith, and retribution. The damaged beard and faded paint indicate that the present appearance is merely a vague representation of its former glory. The first digs of history. The Great Sphinx of Giza remained obscured by the shifting sands of the desert for centuries, with only its head peeking out above the glistening dunes. Visitors marveled at its mysterious stare, yet the complete figure it once represented remained unseen. It wasn't until recent times that efforts to reveal the majestic statue began, unveiling its concealed shape. The initial digs stirred up a mixture of enthusiasm, errors, and discussions as experts endeavored to reconstruct the history of the Sphinx. In 1817, Italian explorer Giovanni Battista Caviglia led the initial excavation of the Sphinx. Despite facing challenging conditions with heavy sands, Caviglia and his team persevered and gradually exposed the chest of the ancient statue. This marked a significant moment as more of the Sphinx became visible to the world after centuries. Although Caviglia was unable to fully unveil the monument, his efforts represented a significant advancement in the rediscovery of the Sphinx and its mysterious nature. Later, in 1887, there were more advancements. The chest, large paws, altar, and plateau became visible. Steps were revealed, leading down to the base, and precise measurements were taken for the first time. The height from the lowest step to the top of the statue was documented as 100 feet. The distance between the paws was 35 feet long and 10 feet wide. An altar used to be located here, and it was also where the famous dream stele of Thutmose IV was discovered. This stone detailed the pharaoh's dream in which he was instructed to remove the sand covering the statue. Over time, additional adventurers and researchers came to investigate the remarkable statue. Eugène Grébeau, a renowned French Egyptologist and head of the Antiquities Service, dedicated efforts to uncovering the Sphinx from the ancient sand cover. As each layer of sand was removed, a fresh set of mysteries emerged. The identity of the builder, the time frame of its creation, and the intended meaning behind the Sphinx all became subjects of curiosity. In 1857, Auguste Mariette, who established the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, discovered the inventory stela, a stone dating back to the 26th dynasty. This stela contained a fascinating tale. King Khufu, the Great Pyramid's creator, supposedly found the Sphinx already buried in sand. Initially, this implied that the Sphinx predated Khufu himself. However, upon closer examination by scholars, uncertainties emerged. The stela was deemed to be a result of later modifications, possibly even a deliberate creation by priests aiming to give their temple a fabricated ancient history. During a period when temples and sanctuaries vied for influence and riches, such fabrications were widespread. The age of the Sphinx was a topic of heated debate that persisted. In 1883, Flinders Petrie, a well-regarded scholar, shared his perspective. Despite widespread beliefs that the Granite Temple and therefore the Sphinx were older than the 4th dynasty, Petrie challenged this notion. He pointed to recent findings indicating that the temple was constructed during the reign of Khafra, the pharaoh who built the second pyramid at Giza. In Petrie's eyes, the Sphinx could not have been created prior to Khafra. However, there were differing opinions among experts. Gaston Maspero, a prominent French Egyptologist who also served as the second director of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, carried out an examination of the Sphinx in 1886. Maspero drew attention to the dream stele, which featured the cartouche of Khafra. According to Maspero, this indicated that Khafra may have been involved in excavating or refurbishing the Sphinx, but not necessarily in its original construction. He proposed that the statue itself could be even older, possibly the oldest monument in Egypt, dating back to the earliest days of pharaonic civilization. Additional opinions were expressed during the discussion, with Ludwig Borchardt proposing that the Sphinx belonged to the Middle Kingdom and bore resemblance to Amenemhat III. E. A. Wallace Budge, on the other hand, believed that the Sphinx existed before Khafra's rule, suggesting that it originated around 2686 BC at the end of the Archaic period. According to him, the statue actually belonged to an era much earlier than commonly thought by scholars. Some individuals, such as Selim Hassan, had a more pragmatic view of the Sphinx. According to him, the statue was probably built after Khafra's pyramid complex was finished. The layout of temples and causeways in the area around the Giza Plateau indicated a systematic building process, with the Sphinx being incorporated into a design that came after Khafra's major structures. But what secrets were held behind the Sphinx, and what do they mean? Let's find out. Secrets beneath the Great Sphinx. The aura of mystery surrounding the Great Sphinx of Giza has intrigued individuals for many years due to its silent watch and imposing stature. The mysterious secrets shrouding the monument have captivated the imagination of explorers, scholars, and visionaries over time. Speculations about what may be concealed beneath the surface, within its structure, or atop its head have only added to the allure of the Sphinx. Every new revelation contributes to the complex narrative, transforming the Sphinx from a mere statue into a guardian of hidden truths. One intriguing aspect is the idea that the Sphinx could have previously sported a ceremonial beard. Certain fragments that have been unearthed indicate that a long beard might have been added at a later time, instead of being part of the original plan. Scholars believe that if the beard had been integrated into the statue from the start, its fall would have caused severe damage to the chin. However, the facial marks on the Sphinx suggest a different narrative, one of subsequent additions and subsequent losses. Additionally, traces of red, yellow, and blue paint have been identified on its exterior. These minute remnants serve as a reminder that the Sphinx was not always the pale figure we see today, but once radiated with vibrant hues, standing out boldly against the backdrop of the desert sands. In the mid-16th century, Johann Helfrich's fascination was piqued by the Sphinx when he encountered it in 1565. His account described a peculiar spectacle, a priest entering the Sphinx's head and seemingly causing the statue to come to life with its whispers in a mysterious tone. Whether this was a ceremonial practice, an illusion, or a myth, the story of the speaking Sphinx circulated widely and added to its reputation for secrecy. Many years after its construction in 1837, a man named Howard Weiss initiated his investigations of the ancient structure. Together with his engineer John Shea Perring, Weiss bore a passage into the Sphinx, positioned just behind its colossal head. This opening gained fame as Perring's Hole, extending far into the rock, nearly reaching a depth of 27 feet, until the drill got stuck. Despite attempts to dislodge it using gunpowder, Weiss decided against risking further harm and abandoned the endeavor. Decades later, in 1978, Zahi Hawass cleared the cavity, unearthing remnants of the Sphinx's headpiece. It is not unreasonable to think that the Sphinx may have once worn a crown or headdress. In various stelae from the New Kingdom, the Sphinx is depicted wearing such royal attire, symbolizing power and grandeur. Some speculate that the hole in the head could have been where the crown was attached. Despite these depictions, there is still no concrete evidence to support this theory. In 1926, the French engineer Émile Barrès covered the hole with a metal hatch, a peculiar legacy of his investigations. The Sphinx's head was not the only notable feature. Another opening was discovered at the top of its head, approximately 6 feet deep, supporting the hypothesis of a crown or headpiece. It is believed that this shaft may have been originally created during the New Kingdom era, but over time, adventurers may have expanded it in search of hidden chambers or treasures. Throughout history, individuals from various centuries have observed and even ventured into this opening. Johann Helfrich mentioned it in the 16th century, while in 1798, French artist Vivant Denon depicted men standing on the Sphinx's head with one being pulled out of the hole in his sketch. Although not entirely accurate, the drawing demonstrated his awareness of the opening's existence. By the 1920s, Raphael Givion's photographs captured a person inside the head, intensifying the unresolved mystery surrounding the Sphinx. In 1926, Barrés made the decision to pave the top of the head shaft with cement and install a trapdoor. This entrance remains in place today, easily seen by those who take a keen look. The trapdoor is approximately 5 feet wide and nearly 6 feet deep. In 1978, when the debris was removed from the hole, pieces of the Sphinx nemesis headdress were discovered, serving as reminders of its former magnificence. The Sphinx has other hidden mysteries besides the well-known riddle. In 1853, Auguste Mariette found a large gap running through its midsection. This crack is quite wide, measuring almost 2 meters at the top of the spine. Attempts to reinforce it were made in 1926 by Barrés, using iron bars, limestone, and cement. A trapdoor made of iron was also installed in that area. Some speculate that the edges of the crevice were deliberately squared off, suggesting it may not be entirely natural. However, closer to the ground, the rock is uneven, revealing the rough texture of the ancient stone below. In that very year, as the sands were removed from the Sphinx, a new mystery came to light. Uncovered on the northern side of the Sphinx's hindquarters was the entrance to a passage. Even though it was eventually closed off with stones, the knowledge of its existence persisted among the local laborers. It wasn't until half a century later, when 3 elderly former basket carriers from Barrés's dig recounted the tale of the concealed passage. Their recollections in 1980 ultimately resulted in its rediscovery and excavation. The passage was quite unique in its design, with 2 distinct sections, one reaching up towards the sky and the other descending deep underground. The upper part extended 4 meters above the surface, running alongside the Sphinx's stone body and the surrounding masonry. It ended in a small sealed niche, while the lower section sloped sharply downwards to a depth of about 5 meters, culminating in a dead-end pit. The entrance was narrow, just over a meter wide, and gradually narrowed further along its length. At the bottom, explorers discovered a mix of sand, stone fragments, modern cement, and peculiar items like tinfoil, a ceramic water jar, and an old pair of shoes. Evidently, the passage had been disturbed and filled in during more recent times. Some suspected that Weiss himself may have created the passage, as mentioned in his diary entry from 1837, where he referenced boring near the Sphinx's tail. Others speculated that it could be of ancient origin, perhaps a tunnel that was started but never completed. Photographs dating back to the 1920s reveal intriguing entrances. In a photo from 1925, a man can be seen standing in a niche inside the Sphinx, situated below the surface. This opening was later sealed off during repairs. Another potential entrance may have been located in the stone box on the southern side of the Sphinx. Furthermore, explorers discovered a chamber hidden behind the dream stele, found between the paws of the Sphinx, which was covered by iron beams and sealed with cement. A secret passage was also concealed by an iron trapdoor in that area. Another peculiar shaft is situated on the northern side of the Sphinx enclosure, facing away from the hind paw. It was uncovered once more and studied in 1978. This shaft, which had a rectangular shape, had dimensions of approximately 1.5 meters by slightly more than a meter, and descended about 2 meters deep. Known as the keyhole shaft by Egyptologist Mark Lehner, due to its unique keyhole-shaped carvings above it, it was theorized that it could have been the initial stage of a tomb that was left incomplete. The various shafts, holes, and pathways within the Sphinx reveal that it is more than just a solitary structure in the desert. Over the centuries, people have examined, modified, and analyzed it. Each person who visited left behind something of their own. A drawing, a drilled opening, a sealed route, or perhaps a tale of priests communicating through its head. Beneath its serene and aged exterior lies a narrative of inquisitiveness, dedication, and occasionally daring exploration. So, what did Klaus expose about the Sphinx? Stay tuned. Klaus Schmidt's Silent Clues. The Great Sphinx of Giza has long been a mysterious puzzle in stone, with its massive face partially concealed by sand for many years and its true history shrouded in secrecy by the passage of time. There has been ongoing speculation regarding the identity of its creators, the time of its construction, and the significance it once held. While most historical accounts attribute its origins to the era of Pharaoh Khafra, around 4,500 years ago, positioning it as a formidable protector of the pyramids, not everyone subscribes to this traditional narrative. The mysterious nature of the desert has given rise to numerous rumors and speculations. One of these rumors revolves around the work of archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, whose findings in distant lands have led to speculation that he may have uncovered a forbidden truth about the origins of the Sphinx. Schmidt's discovery of the remarkable stone circles at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which are over 11,000 years old, caused a stir in the field of archaeology. The existence of such advanced structures from ancient times challenged previous beliefs about human capabilities. It raised the possibility that the Sphinx, often associated with Egypt's Old Kingdom, may actually be from a much earlier era, when humans possessed technology and skills that have since been forgotten. The Sphinx appears worn and damaged, as if it has its own story to tell. Its weathered facade is a stark contrast to the precise and clean lines of the nearby pyramids. Some believe this suggests the Sphinx existed long before the time of Khafra, perhaps even before the pharaohs constructed their tombs in its vicinity. This notion is bold, almost risky, as it challenges the traditional timeline of history. If proven true, it would require a complete re-evaluation of our understanding of civilization's origins. It would indicate that human civilization did not emerge as recently as previously believed, but rather much earlier, only to decline and disappear before re-emerging. Some argue that Schmidt perceived indications linking the Sphinx to this forgotten era of mankind. He was not a seeker of fame through extravagant assertions, but the subtle impact of his findings led individuals to ponder if he had discerned something disregarded by others. The Sphinx's absent documents, its quietness, its mystery, all appeared to align with the notion of a profound or prohibited truth. Imagine if the Sphinx was not crafted by the pharaohs as believed, but by individuals who existed millennia prior to them, a civilization now obliterated by the passage of time. Perhaps the mysterious Sphinx does not represent the start of Egypt's history, but rather something ancient and mysterious that surpasses our comprehension. The weathered features of the Sphinx could be remnants of a cryptic communication from a civilization now vanished. It might have served as a protector, a sign of caution, or a timeless expression etched in stone to ensure remembrance, even if its creators have faded into obscurity. Klaus Schmidt efforts paved the way for new possibilities. His findings hinted at the idea that our current understanding is limited, and the past holds depths beyond our comprehension. The Sphinx continues to gaze into the distance, holding on to its mysterious truths, while the quiet whispers of the desert breeze carry the weight of its untold stories. While the origins and purpose of the Sphinx may remain a mystery, perhaps that uncertainty is what adds to its allure. What do you think about Klaus Schmidt's truth? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more celebrity gist. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.